How's it going, team? Welcome back to Atomi. To get active, there's definitely a few things we need. Somewhere to train, some equipment, a big bottle of water, definitely some overpriced activewear. Oh, and a little thing called fitness. That's right, physical activity actually has fitness requirements, or what your syllabus calls components of fitness. There's actually quite a bit to cover in this part of the syllabus, so we're going to split it into two videos, starting with a general overview. Then, we're going to break it down into health-related components, covering these ones here. And in the next video, we'll look at skill-related components, including these ones here. With all of that, we'll have a really nice understanding of what it actually means to be physically fit. Let's get straight into it with an overview of fitness components. If you were to pause this video and look up what fitness is on the internet, you'd get a super generic definition that doesn't really tell you much. With a definition like this, two individuals with totally different levels of physical ability may consider themselves to be in tip-top shape. So, to make things a little more clear, we have fitness components. These are the various components that actually contribute to physical performance. Usually, we consider how strong or weak an athlete is based on these individual components. And the stronger someone is for most components, then the fitter they generally are. Now, we split these up into two groups, health-related and skill-related components. Health-related components relate to the health and well-being of the athlete, making sure the body is free from illness or injury. They're all of these ones here. Skill-related components relate to the body's ability to effectively participate in a range of activities, and they're these ones here. It's important to recognise that different sports require different components from both of these lists, depending on the type of movement and intensity of the sport. Let's look at these components in more detail, starting with our health-related ones. First up is cardiorespiratory endurance. This refers to the ability of the cardiorespiratory system to transport oxygen to the working muscles. More specifically, it's about how efficiently the aerobic energy system provides energy through the heart and lungs. Athletes with a high level of cardiorespiratory endurance can exercise at higher intensity levels without feeling overly fatigued and can recover faster after working. Being aerobic, meaning it's related to oxygen, this is an important component for activities that engage the aerobic energy system, such as marathons and long-distance cycling. Then, we have muscular endurance. Muscular endurance is the ability of our muscles to repetitively contract against resistance over a period of time. More specifically, it's about how efficiently the anaerobic energy systems, the ATP, CP, and lactic acid systems, can provide energy to the muscles, and how those muscle cells utilize this energy over and over again. Athletes with a high level of muscular endurance are able to exert maximal force for a prolonged time, without feeling the onset of fatigue as quickly. Because of this, it's an essential component for repetitive activities like rowing and short distance swimming, where athletes need to push as hard as they can for a certain amount of time. Our next component is muscular strength. Strength refers to an athlete's ability to exert force against a resistance in a single maximal contraction. It's pretty simple. The greater the strength of a muscle, the more force the muscle can exert. For example, a super strong athlete can throw this container of protein powder really far, while our less built friend isn't able to push it as much. Muscular strength is essential in a lot of anaerobic activities, that is, sports that don't require oxygen. For example, activities that require lifting, pushing, or pulling, like weightlifting, and those that require athletes to hold their own body weight, like rings in gymnastics. Flexibility is another fitness component that is key in a range of sports. This refers to the range of movement athletes have around their joints. The greater our flexibility, the more mobility we have. The further we're able to stretch, twist, and bend in different directions without causing any injury. Athletes that are highly flexible are able to complete a variety of movements, which is essential for activities like competitive dancing and gymnastics. It's also essential in a lot of team sports, like soccer and hockey, where players need to be mobile and stretch their limbs to intercept a pass or a shot. Next up is body composition. Body composition is the relative proportion of an athlete's fat, muscle, and bone content. Having too much body fat often puts strain on the muscles and joints during physical activity, which can inhibit movement altogether. With this in mind, zero body fat doesn't equate to better performance in all sports. What's considered an optimal body composition depends on the demands of each activity. Let's look at some sporting examples to make it a bit more clear. Cyclists, for example, need to be light to make riding easier, as well as strong so they can push themselves through the race. So it's optimal to have a high muscle percentage and low body fat. But other activities like rugby need strong, more stocky athletes, so it's optimal for them to have a higher body fat percentage. There isn't a strict right and wrong when it comes to body composition, but athletes need to be aware of the requirements for their particular sport. Alright guys, that's the first half of our fitness components finished. We've covered a lot, so let's just do a quick summary. In sport, we use the components of fitness to define what it actually means to be fit. So far, we've covered the health-related components, which are these ones here. Breaking each one down with a definition, explanation, and sporting example will make it really easy when you go back to revise this part of your syllabus. Take a screenshot now, answer a few quiz questions, and move on to the next video.